Hello everyone and welcome back again. Now in this lesson we are going to carry on and build upon the previous lesson, and we need to implement the async part. So as you can see here, we have added two lines of code here to suppress the warning and force all or any task that takes a long time on the main thread or the UI thread. We force it to take place, just to see and test our application. However, this is not recommended. It's actually highly unrecommended at all, because you would like to keep your application as responsive as possible in order for not to ruin or not to destroy the user's experience. If you in fact start, for example, use any Android application, if you have an Android device right away behind on your desk or in your hand right now, you could try and have a look how you try to perform some certain task on a certain application. You can see it's more or less snappy, and this is because especially for longer tasks. Let's say if you are using some applications like Pulse or like Flipbook, I think, or there are some applications which, for example, are RSS feeds. Any RSS feed application, you can just if you start using it, it goes over the internet, requests the data, and sends it back to the cell phone, and you can start consuming these data. In order for this to happen without, for example, your application being frozen, usually programmers of these applications tend to execute these tasks on another thread, away from the UI thread. So basically, Android considers the UI thread as the main thread where the application is running. If you are trying to perform some complex calculations or trying to perform some sort of a lengthy task, it is highly advised to run it on a separate thread, so you can keep your application still responsive, and it's not going to completely collapse and fail, or completely frozen until it just returns back to the user. As far as I remember, it allows Android allows like for 5 seconds, if your application is frozen, it will give you application not responding, which they call it ANR dialog, and application not responding dialog, and it asks you, will you wait for the application to respond, or you just simply terminate it. This is quite dangerous, and you don't want that to happen to your application. Okay, so we're gonna work on that right now. Okay, so let's have a look at what is the async part. Now, any task you would like to perform, you usually gonna put it somewhere in a class, for example, and that class has to inherit from the async class. So async task, if you will. The async task is a generic class, and it has exactly 4 methods. And if you can have a look here, it in fact just has these 4 methods which are executing in this order. Let me have a look here and just point out a very important thing here, which is already mentioned in the documentation. Hang on a sec. There you go. Async tasks should ideally be used for short operations, a few seconds at the most. If you need to keep running for long periods of time, it is highly recommended that you use various APIs provided by Java util concurrent packages such as execute, thread execute, pull executor, whatever, and and future task. So you have if your application will take longer than these few seconds, which Android SDK documentation recommending, then it's in fact it will be much easier that you use, for example, like the runnable, for example, implementing the runnable interface and getting running, or for example, using one of those 2 classes. Now, if you look at the implementation here, there are 3 types that the async tasks in fact taking. The first one is the parameters, which is the type of the parameters you are feeding to the task. The second task is the progress, which broadcasts back to the user interface the progress of the execution. So for instance, if you have, for example, a certain task that you know exactly how from at which point it actually executes, you will say, okay, you will show a progress bar to a user which says that amount of task has been already performed, let's say by 25%, 50%, and so on and so forth. You show in fact some sort of a progress bar for the user. If you are not using any of those, you just simply put in void as it's already has been specified here. And the return result is usually, and the return result is the third parameter or of this generic specification, where you say, okay, the result of this execution is going to be, for example, a string or an integer or a list of or a list of something, and so on and so forth. Now there are four functions that you could override. So the first function, which get execute on pre-execute, and it in fact executes on the main thread or the UI thread. So the main thread and UI thread, we're gonna call them for now. We're gonna call them interchangeably. So please do not make it quite long. So you have to try to make it as short as possible, because it is in fact the part where you set up the task, and it is in fact the part where you have to keep the stuff short so it will run faster. The one which you're gonna have to override anyway is the do in background. And as you can see here, it takes an array of parameters. So params 3 dots that means that you're gonna pass in array of parameters, and we're gonna see how we're gonna use that. So it actually executes right after the on pre-execute finishes executing, and once it is done, it will in fact return the result into the on post execute, which in fact is executed on the main UI thread. The on progress update, however, is the part where you show in fact how much progress have you performed. You could show that, you could override that, you could not, you can just simply ignore it. It's actually up to you. However, it's recommended always to show some feedback to the user interface that you are doing some certain progress. And on post execute, it in fact executes on the UI thread once the background computation is finished, which is this one. And the result of the computation is just simply like returned back again to the UI thread, and you are just good to go. Here is the part where you can actually start canceling the UI, canceling the task, and so on and so forth. I advise you to read through it if you would like, if you are interested in how to interrupt the task while it's in the middle of the execution. And this is the documentation and the details of every function, as you can see here. All right, so let's start implementing this interface or this class. And let's go back here and here. And in fact, I'm going to let me maximize this like so. And I am going to, for now, just for you to see the effects of how everything is working, I am going to comment all this up to here, Control/, and now everything is completely commented, so nothing of that code is working right now. And since we are actually, the task which we are executing is the HTTP request task, we need to make this as short as, we need to execute this in the background thread. So we're gonna make another small class, a private class. So I'm gonna call this private, and it's, as you can see here, it's an embedded type. It's inside this class. So private class HTTP task, and then extends async task. And as you can see here, it takes several parameters. So the first one is going to be string, because we are sending the URL as a parameter, and we're sending as well the request headers as a parameter as well. I'm not going to show the progress right now for here, so I'm going to just keep it void. And for the result, I'm going to actually send out back again a string. Now, once this is done, right now it will ask me for implementing the unimplemented methods, which is going to be the protected string do in background. Now, I will also add one protected void on post execute, and right here I'm going to have a string result, and right there, and I'm going to start performing some a demo here. Actually, it's not some, it's a single demo. So for example, right here I'm gonna show a very interesting concept here. I'm gonna return after execution, and I'm gonna put here log.e or I, let it be for I for info, log.i, and I'm gonna push here a string. I'm gonna call this HTTP task, and I'm gonna push here I am in background task. Close this, semicolon. And right here I'm gonna just simply say log I, and I'm gonna push in HTTP task just as a as a key, and a value I'm gonna push in here after, or actually, you know what, I'm just gonna simply return the result here so you can see how everything is working. And now let me try to use it. So this is how it's gonna be used, and as you can see, I just came into the end of the class, so it will be easier for us to see everything in action. Right here I'm gonna put in HTTP task equals to new HTTP task, and then you say task dot execute, and as you can see here it says string params, and right here I can pass in as many strings in fact as possible, and right in here I can receive this as, I can refer to this as an array. So if I would like to access it, I'll say params of 0. It's going to be, for example, first equals to, so string equals to params of 0. And if you would like to, we can actually start playing with this. So I'm going to say first, second. So this is the second parameter. I'm going to push here as well string second equals to params of 1. So it's a 0-base array. And by the way, for those who are interested, there's such feature in C#. However, if you would like to make such a function, you're going to have to pass in, instead of the before, I mean, the header should be somewhat like this. So if we have a function, so you can have a public void or a private void, whatever, or with a return type, it doesn't matter, function. And right here in C# you would have said params string, and then you say my params, and this is probably the equivalent of it in C#. So you're gonna have to use this params keyword, so it will accept array of parameters for those who are interested in the C# equivalent. So let me see here. So in a login HTTP task, I will in fact say first plus, you know what, I will combine them into one. In fact, I'll undo this. And after execution, in fact, there are not going to be only 1 and 2. So first plus and a space plus second plus third and semicolon. Alright, so we have this, and I will just simply return the result. Now, after executing this, I will just simply put here log.I, or in fact, not here, I will put it right there, to prove to you that this is in fact is going on another thread. After, here I'm going to call this UI thread, and I'm going to put here after task execute. And let me comment that, or semicolon that, and control S that, and let me just clear this log, clear everything, and let me start this application right away. So I'm gonna double click here, waiting for the application to start, and I'm gonna hit send. And right now, as you can see here, after task execution, well, hang on a sec. Well, apparently my task was really fast, so that's why it oh no, it is actually right. After task execution has been done, you see, on the UI thread, then the HTTP task has been executed, the do in background process, and look at this, you get in fact the first, second, and third, which is the result of my, let's say, so-called calculations. So this is quite interesting concept, and we can execute it back again. Let's see. Again, let me clear this out and let's start this again. And let me put here the send. And again, as you can see here, the after HTTP task has been executed, so this line has been executed, and then we started to see the effect of running that task in the background, and then it returns back to us again with the final calculation. So we're gonna use this in order to start writing our own, making our own HTTP request running right inside here. Okay, so let's get started. Now I'm gonna leave. I'm in fact gonna leave this for now. All of them are commented. However, I'm gonna change this for now. I'm just simply gonna say return null, just to avoid the errors. And I am going to have a list of name value pair. This is where we're gonna pass in our headers, by the way, head params, which is gonna equal to new array list of name value pair, which is pretty much exactly the same thing which you have done upstairs. Now, let me see here. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to take this and push it right here. So this is going to be my first parameter. I'm going to send the link as a first parameter. And the second parameter is going to be, let's say, get all students as well. So where is it? Well, all of them are here. So I'm going to just simply send get all students. And for the key, and get all students for the value, which are unimportant in fact, because anyway I'm not checking for them in the HTTP request, but it's a good practice. So I'm gonna keep this dot add new basic name value pair, and right here I'm gonna have params of 0. Oh, sorry, actually it's gonna be params of 1. And here is going to be params of 2, because 0 is in fact the link, right? So right here I'm going to add my return. Actually, I'm not going to add it, I'm just going to return it right away. So return new HTTP manager dot get response from URL with my params of 0. And right here, actually head params, and there you go. Now here in the result, I'm just going to keep the result there, so we can see in fact the return out of our result here. So we should in fact see all the students listed as a as a pure or bare JSON response. So waiting for it, and there you go. Oh, required field is missing. Which one? I suppose. Let me see here. It says message required fields is missing. Params of 1, it's params. Well, you know what? Let me try and grab it from here right now until I just see what's wrong. Probably I've missed something while executing this, so let me just keep it that way for now. So SID, and I'm gonna send in as 2. Oh, in fact, no. Get all students. This is the one. I actually forgot to change the one which I'm referring to, the PHP file. And let me make sure that I'm having the exact name, so we'll not have any typos. Control V, and everything is just fine. So let us rerun this again. Sorry about that. And hang on a sec. Okay, let it be. And clear everything out. Send back again. Waiting for it, and there you go. So the HTTP task has been executed. We didn't get any warnings from Android, even by commenting this, because we already followed the standards and we already made any lengthy process which is going to be executed. We made it as an async task. Now let us try to make sense of that. Let's try to use it. So I will in fact uncomment this part as well, I think. Or let me see, like, oh, hang on a sec. And uncomment that. Okay, so and list view, we already have got it through. I don't need these 2 lines of code anymore. I don't need this as well anymore. However, we're gonna actually use their clones downstairs there. So let me grab this, and I'm gonna just take it out as well. Oh, there you go. This is what I was trying to find. I'll just simply take this out. Take this out as well. And on click listener, I'm gonna uncomment that too. And take out these unnecessary comments here. And I'm gonna take out as well the bundle part. We don't need it anymore, just for now. I mean, just to keep the code a little bit compact and easy and easily manageable. And I think we have got an error here. This is because we already have this array adapter. Now, in fact, I'm gonna move this. I'm gonna take it completely down, right here. Okay, and instead of list of names, I'm gonna come over here, and since this HTTP request is sending me back the pure JSON URL or pure JSON object, what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to say JSON parser dot. Let me see here. Well, you know what? Now I have to save it in a JSON object first. So JSON object equals JOBJ equals to JSON parser dot parse JSON from URL, and right here I'm gonna just simply say result, because that's what we are trying to parse out. And since we have already our JSON stuff, right now I'm gonna create a new array list. So array list. In fact, I could have copied it as well, but it doesn't matter. Array list of strings. And I'm gonna call this lst names as it was, equals to new array list of string. And here's our famous for each. So for student std in our is, well, right now it's gonna be we need actually to parse this again. Well, let's see here. I'm gonna in fact do it like this. Array list of students is gonna std list is gonna equal to I'm gonna parse this into array list of student, and right here I'm gonna say JSON object mapper dot JSON to students list, and right here I'm gonna just simply say JOBJ, which in fact could be completely shortened out by just grabbing it and just pushing it right there. So it's pretty much the same actually. Now here I'm gonna just simply say std list, and I'm gonna go and say, or I don't need even the brackets, just only one line of code here. LST names dot add std dot get name, and I think we should be good to go. However, it will not be happy for some certain reason. Array adapter constructor string secondary HTTP array list of string is undefined. Well, this is kind of weird. Let me check here, what am I exactly missing? So LST names is the same as LST names. Aha, okay, this cannot be this anymore. This get application context, it has to be. Because AsyncTask is not inheriting from the main activity, so it's already, I mean, this HTTP task is inheriting from AsyncTask, not the activity, so that's why you cannot pass this anymore. You have to pass in the actual application context, so get application context. Now, I suppose that this should in fact work if we don't have any problems. Let me delete that out as well. So right now we don't have any errors, and let's hope it will work without crashes. So send, waiting for it, and there you go. So we got the names over here. However, they look grayish, right? So in fact, I'm gonna just simply change their colors. So I'm choosing the std item over here, and there is a property, I think, in Android, text color, and I'm gonna pass in hash 123 and this is for black. And let's get back here and let's execute this. So send, waiting for it, and there you go. Okay, so we got all students right there. Okay, great. Now, since we already have done that quite successfully, I think I'm gonna stop right here, and in the next lesson we're gonna build up upon that, and we start implementing our own array adapters, so we will not rely on these strings anymore, and we can just simply grab whatever item we have selected right away. Okay, so thanks a lot for your attention, and see you in the next lesson.